Hello and welcome. I am Scrubberlock, and this is City of Heroes Soling the Stalker. We're level 44. We've got about 2 million XP to go to get to level 45, and we are on a story arc for Indigo, which is going to be the Malta Group. So the Malta Group is a group of basically, it's like a private army that was created by a bunch of people on the island of Malta in a secret conference, and it's sort of designed to mimic some actual secret conferences that happen in the real world. And so this is like a secret group, and we're going to be facing sappers. Sappers are annoying, but with a stalker, shouldn't be too bad. And as we go, what we're going to do today, because I was watching this video and it really hit for me, because I definitely do this, is watching YouTube videos about doing things instead of actually doing them. So this was somebody who was talking about the tendency of, you have these people making essentially self-help videos or how-to videos on YouTube. Like a cooking channel, how to cook this, how to cook that, how to bake this, how to bake that. Or an automotive channel, how to change your oil, how to align your wheels, whatever, do an alignment, how to change spark plugs, and that kind of thing. And he said the danger is, and the patterns that we're seeing happen to people, are you start watching these videos because you want to improve, but then, oh, this is going to be Knives of Artemis and not Malta? How did she know I was here? Okay. Are these guys not going to be stalkable? That'll be interesting. I mean, I can placate you and I can still assassinate you. Just in case you didn't know. Oh, gosh, the stupid caltrops are going to reveal me, too. So I got to watch out when I placate them, because if I'm standing on caltrops, it's going to reveal me as soon as it does damage. What are we looking at for the 2-hit here? Why is it 40%? She's debuffing my defense. She shouldn't be also debuffing my 2-hit. Anyway, so what he said is, so people start out, come on down, because I hate going up there. People start out, watching videos to help them, right? You're watching cooking videos to become a better cook. But then you get entertained by the video, and you get links to other videos. And before you know it, instead of cooking, you're watching other people cook. Or instead of working on your car, you're watching other people work on your car. Or instead of working on yourself, yes, they are seeing through my hide. Is that... I did not know that was possible. I did not remember that. Instead of whatever improvement that you're trying to do, whatever thing you're trying to learn to do by watching the YouTube videos and then doing it yourself, you just keep watching the YouTube videos, watching somebody else do it. And I thought, wow, that literally is me, and it's been going on recently, as well as in the more distant past. So, and as he said, it starts out innocently enough. Back in the day, when I was a young lad in my 40s, and even before that, what used to happen years ago, before there was YouTube, before, oh yeah, they definitely can see through hide. Okay, well that's interesting. Before there was YouTube, before there was even before there was that much internet other than just forums and text, right? You have a situation where, let's say you want to play a game. You want to know before you buy it, because games are expensive. They've always been 50, 60 bucks, even going back into the 90s. You want to know, is the game going to be fun? Is it going to be any good? And initially, the only thing you had for information to tell whether something was good or not, I don't know why I'm waiting to hide since they're ignoring hide. right? They can clearly see through it. The only thing you had for information was game journalists, right? Game journos, as they call them. These are people who would play video games and then write a review. And the game journos were gamers, although they weren't necessarily the level that the real hardcore gamers are. And they would write reviews. And one of the things that I found very early on, especially with games like City of Heroes, the early MMOs, is that the reviews were wildly unreliable. I promise we're going to get to the topic, but I just want to set it up. The reviews are wildly unreliable, and the reason they were unreliable, I found out, was that, or I realized after time, was that the game journalists don't have the time. They got to put out an article every week or every month or whatever they're doing. To get paid, they've got to write articles. They might be writing articles for a couple different websites. So I'm getting triple misses on, what was it, 75% to hit? Come on, what's going on? Why can't I hit this? It's ridiculous. With aim on and everything else, that's absurd. 75% to hit, and I can't hit her. Anyway, you have these game journalists who have to put out articles every so often, every couple weeks. So if a game journalist is going to play City of Heroes and write a review, they can't spend even the free month playing the game the way you and I would play it if we subscribed to a new MMO and played it to death, which is what you do when you get a new MMO, right? So what would happen is they would get into a game like City of Heroes, they would play it for a few days, they'd get their character to level 25 or something, and then they would write a review about the game. And the reason it doesn't reflect my experience in the game is that the game journalist isn't playing it the way I would, right? I would be leveling up, I would eventually get to level 50, I would play the game for months, and I would see bugs and problems and balance issues that a game journalist who's only playing the game for a week and just gets to level 15 or 20 isn't going to see. This is over and above the conflict of interest that occurs and was occurring back then when the game companies are essentially giving the game journos previews of games and free copies of games, but it's sort of predicated on getting at least mildly positive reviews. If their reviews are bad, if they rip the company to pieces for putting out a garbage game that's full of bugs, the company is probably never going to give them another free game again, right? And so there is this reluctance on the part of the game journalists to be hard on these games, which means that games that deserved it weren't getting, the harsh reviews they deserved. And I was buying games that game journalists said were great, playing them and thinking they were terrible, right? And getting very frustrated. So what I started to do was I started using MMORPG.com, which had forums. Unbelievable. MMORPG.com, which had forums that were, in each game that were written by the players of the games, right? And if I wanted to know if an MMO was any good, I would go there and read what the players were saying about the game, not what the reviewers and the game critics were saying about the game. Much like movies, you kind of can't trust the critics. My mother used to say this when, these movies would win Academy Awards and be critically acclaimed, and I'd watch it and it'd be like the worst movie I've ever seen in my life, bored the crap out of me. My mother used to say the critics are looking for different things out of a movie than the audience is, right? We're looking for entertainment and fun and enjoyment and, maybe good acting, but we're not going to, if the movie is horrible, it doesn't really matter to us, usually, as viewers. All right, we're going to have to do overload here. And I have to retreat. I'm going to get killed. This is ridiculous. The amount of stacking of the slow that they can do is so absurd. Yeah, there's too many of them there. I over-aggroed. My mother used to say the critics aren't necessarily looking for fun or entertainment or whatever. I mean, a lot of critics don't like some of the most popular movies that there are, and many of the most popular movies in history never were nominated for or won an Academy Award because they're looking for different things, right? So you kind of can't really trust a critic per se to give you a good analysis of whether you're going to enjoy a movie, right? Just because Glenn Close gave a great performance in this particular movie doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to like the movie as a movie. The same thing with a game. The game journalists are looking for different things from a game than what the players are looking for. So I started out trying to read reviews by players. MMORPG.com provided a great place to do that for MMOs, but I didn't really have a good place to do that for regular games, right? And so I kept stumbling into these single player games that were awful. And so I started trying to follow the recommendations of friends from MMOs, right? So like somebody told me when I was playing Star Wars Galaxies that Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic was awesome, and based on her recommendation I played it and I loved it. It's one of my favorite games of all time, right? And so I learned, like my best friend, if he was playing a really good game, he would tell me this game's awesome and I could play it. We have similar tastes in games, so we can follow each other's recommendations pretty well. Although I will say, bizarrely enough, he never follows my recommendations, even though he knows we have similar enough tastes that when he's enjoying a game, he tells me I should try to play it. But when I'm enjoying a game and I tell him he should try to play it, he usually doesn't. He says, yeah, someday, and he never does. That's on him, right? He's going to enjoy it less. Oh, this is going to be fun. I don't know if we have enough time on Overload. I don't think we do. All right, guys, so I'm going to pause it here. I will come back and talk about this some more, but I'm going to pause it here. I'm going to go out and get a bunch of Lux because Overload's going to die on me, and I'm going to need luck to fight these two. So I'm going to go out and get a bunch of Lux. I'm not going to make you guys watch it. I'm just going to fill this whole thing up with Lux, and then we'll come back. I'll be right back. All right, folks, we are back. We have everything we need. I don't feel like waiting the 5 minutes for Overload, so we're just going to try to take these two, who are +2 bosses. I don't know which one's worse. He's going to be super accurate, but she's going to throw caltrops probably. And she's probably going to see through me, so I probably won't be able to assassinate anybody. I'm going to go with 4 defenses. Hopefully that'll be enough. Yeah, she saw me. That's pretty obnoxious that they can see you like that. Fortunately, she's not that tough. So anyway, I was relying on the word of friends. I was relying on the word of people on forums, not listening to game journos. But it often was very hard to know, especially like if some new game had just come out. It was often very hard to know, is this going to be a good game? Is it going to be fun? Am I going to enjoy it? And now, enter Steam. There are forums and everything. And Steam, you have videos on these games that are in their store page that are showing you the gameplay. And the thing with the videos is a lot of the gameplay. Jeez, like, do you believe this guy? I had 80% defense and he was still hitting me. What are his hit rolls? He had a 15% chance to hit me and rolled a 1. He had a 15% chance to hit me and roll a 7. You see this, guys? He had a 15% chance to hit me and roll a 0.6. 3 times in a row, he rolled single digits, and twice in a row he rolled below a 5, which is an auto hit. That is insane. And that is what kills you. When they roll D100 and roll 01, 01, 06, just nuts. He had, I'm gonna calculate this because this is nuts. He had oh, I did it wrong. Hang on. A 0.3% chance of doing that. 3 in 1,000 of hitting me 3 times in a row like that. Just ridiculous. All right, so anyway, ultimately what happened is I'm watching, so let me show you. This is going to be hard to do, but let's do it here, right? I'm seeing gameplay video that looks like this, where the character's like punching, but it's like, what did the one person said? It's like a second person shooter, right? Because first person is zoomed in so that you're like this, third person is zoomed out like this, second person is like you're looking at the character, but nobody plays video games that way, and you get these like camera moves that swoop in and out over a giant battlefield. It was some RTS game that I was looking at, and I was trying to find something to replace Age of Empires 1 and 2, and so I was thinking, well, you know, what can I play? And I don't remember which game it was that had come out. And one of the things with RTS games is the interface has got to be something that I find usable and playable. If it's not, I mean, any game you need a good UI, but I wanted to be able, like, I had played RTS games that where like you couldn't assign groups, like tactical groups. In Age of Empires, you could, you know, highlight 4 units and hit Control 1, and that's your, you know, every time you hit the button 1, those units get activated. And so I would have like my archery group together, and my catapults group together, and my priests group together, and my cataphracts group together, and I wanted to be able to do that. And a lot of RTS games didn't allow it, or their system for doing it was more annoying. Like, it wasn't as intuitive. And so what I was looking for is, okay, what is the user interface like? How are the control groups work and stuff? None of that was visible in any of the game promos. And so I was really frustrated because all of the game promos just showed like an interfaceless game, and they were basically promo videos showing the coolness of the graphics and these camera sweeps over a landscape with an armies fighting in the background and stuff like that. And there was no way to tell how the game actually, minute to minute, hour to hour, played. You just couldn't. There was no way to tell. What am I looking for here? The clue is going to say I didn't find him, but what am I supposed to do if not defeat everybody, which I already have? No. Oh, I have to still fight this girl. Then say defeat all up here, guys, so I know what I'm doing. And show a little red triangle when there's only one guy left. Come on now. Like, it does this in all the other missions. So I was like, how am I going to figure out if I like the way the game actually plays? Because the you're kidding me? Oh, there's somebody that's still left. I was going to say that I have to somehow defeat the caltrops in order for it to count. How am I going to see how this game actually plays? And I don't know if I Googled it or what, but somehow I blundered onto the idea of watching somebody play this RTS game on a YouTube video, showing the actual gameplay, right? Not a promo, but doing this, right? A Let's Play. And that's how I started watching Let's Plays, because I watched that video and I did not like it. I watched it, and one of the things was that he was raving about how did I not aggro her? I was over here fighting before. He was raving about how there was only one resource in the game instead of needing, like, because in Age of Empires you needed like stone, wood, gold, and food. And I think in Age of Empires 2 they added a couple more. And he was like, it's great, all you need is energy, or whatever the commodity was. And I like, that's not great. I like having different resources to manage. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, I don't think I'm going to like this game. And I watched the gameplay, and I just didn't like how it played. And so I didn't buy the game. And so what I started doing was, when I was interested in getting a game, I didn't watch the promo videos. Maybe the promo video got me interested, but I didn't watch the promo videos. I didn't read the reviews. I went to YouTube, I Googled Let's Play and the name of the game, like Let's Play City of Heroes, and I watched the gameplay to see, would I like this game? It's how I bought Euro Truck Simulator 2. I watched a guy, I think his name was Stalker, play it, and it looked cool. I also then ended up watching him play Farming Simulator 14 or 15 or 16, and I bought that. It's how I bought Stellaris. My best friend and I were looking for a game to play together, and he said he'd heard of Stellaris, and I Googled it. I said, oh, it's a Paradox game. I had already played Hearts of Iron 4. How did I get that one? Watched somebody do a Let's Play, right? So I said, okay, let me watch a Let's Play I'm going to watch a Let's Play and just see how it goes. And I think we both independently found Quill 18's Stellaris walkthrough where he played a couple of episodes and we were watching the same, like I remember messaging him and giving him the link and say, hey, watch this video. And I was like 30 minutes in and he said, I am watching it. I'm 25 minutes in. And so we were at almost the same spot. And we watched a half hour of this and we both immediately messaged each other and said, let's get it. From watching him play, we could see that the play of the game was something we were going to like. Excuse me. So that's how I started watching these Let's Plays. But here's the danger, right? It was useful to watch Quill 18 for 30 minutes, see that we were going to like the game, get Stellaris, and play 600 hours of it with each other, which is what I've done. I think 600-ish is about the number of hours. Okay, good. No more Knives of Artemis. And these guys will go down very easily. Sappers are KOS, or ASOS, Assassin Strike on Sight. So that's what I started doing, but here's the danger. I got interested in more Paradox games, and I was thinking about Crusader Kings. And Crusader Kings, well, there was a guy on the internet and on YouTube named Arumba, who's a great, I don't know if he's still doing it, but he was a great YouTuber. And I started watching him play Crusader Kings. And he had his whole campaign, several whole campaigns online. Here's the problem. I ended up watching his whole campaign for hundreds of hours instead of playing hundreds of hours of Crusader Kings. Then I was interested in, I played Crusader Kings, but I think I've got like, I don't know, 170 hours of play in Crusader Kings on Steam. I haven't checked in a while. I think it's something like that. And I probably have over 200, if not more, watch hours. Because I've watched him play like at least 2 different campaigns. Okay? So the problem is that if you go from just watching to get help to watching for its own sake, then it no longer becomes like a help video, and you end up watching the thing instead of doing it. Right? And like, I never got better at EU4 in part because I spent more time watching Arumba play campaign after campaign after campaign in EU4 because he was so entertaining to watch, and he was making the game do things that I couldn't make it do. Why? Because he played it and I watched him play it. Right? I can't become a great wide receiver by watching a bunch of football. If I want to become a great wide receiver, I have to be a wide receiver. Right? I have to go out and play football. And so what this one person was saying is that we have to be careful not to go from watching something to get a little bit of help to watching the thing being the thing you do instead. Right? And I thought, yeah, that definitely for EU4 and CK2, I have watched more hours of somebody playing it than played it myself. I have no idea. Did I miss a bunch of stuff up here? I probably did. No, we're going to hit this guy. Tactical. I don't think tactical guys summon anything. So that definitely happened with EU4. But it didn't just happen with EU4. It continues to happen. So for example, now I've been, as you guys know, if you're watching these videos, I've become interested in getting back into board war games, like tabletop war games with hexes and tokens, counters. And I love it. I already own 4, and I've got 2 more on order that are coming on hopefully Tuesday, according to UPS. So like they're awesome, and there's like dozens more that I would like to buy. I eventually want to get all of the advanced squad leader stuff if it's for sale. The hard part with that is finding it for sale. But I definitely want to get a hold of that stuff, and um, it's awesome, and I love doing it. But there's like a 45 or something episode advanced squad leader training camp on YouTube, and I've watched many hours of that. Now, I can't play advanced squad leader yet because I don't have all the packs. I don't have any of it. I haven't bought it yet. But I've watched lots of videos. It starts out, oh, how do you play advanced squad leader? And then it becomes, hey, it's really interesting watching this guy play a whole campaign by himself, right? And showing you how to do everything. If he's an entertaining YouTuber, it becomes the activity you do instead of doing the thing, right? And so I realized that I am in danger. I was in danger of doing that with board games just as much as I was in danger of doing it with video games. Maybe a little bit less because it's much easier to capture the video of your computer game than it is to capture video of a board game, right? If it were easy to capture video of board games, I might have already made some videos of me trying out some of these games just so that if people were interested, they could see it. Obviously, a different playlist, maybe even a different channel. But I probably would have already done something. But I don't have a tripod and an external camera that I can easily set up, or a way to set up my phone. And I don't have good lighting in the house. I don't have a good place to set it up. I don't have a studio, right? I can't really do that. So whereas with this game, all I have to do is run OBS and just where is this guy? All I have to do is run OBS and just record the gameplay. If I were going to try to record playing Conflict of Heroes, that would take a lot of work and effort that is just beyond my interest, right? I have no interest in doing that and putting that much effort into filming. Just look at all the nooks and crannies here. Into filming external videos of like my dining room and stuff. Like I just, that's probably not ever going to happen. And so there's less of it on there, but there is stuff on there, and I did get caught up in. There we go. I did get caught up in doing a lot of watching instead of playing. Watching people doing what I want to do instead of doing what I want to do. I mean, even cooking. I'll Google something, how to cook something, and if it's somebody who's really interesting, I might end up watching a cooking show without actually doing the cooking myself, right? And so it's a really interesting comment. And then I was thinking about not only what I do, but what I do from that end where I'm doing the watching. But this is the same thing, right? If you're watching me play City of Heroes, you're not actually playing City of Heroes. Now, some people maybe can't, right? Their computer can't handle it, or for whatever reason, right? They might not be able to play the game, or might not want to actually play the game, but they enjoy watching, and that's fine. But I hope that there aren't a lot of people who either are going to watch me play City of Heroes or play themselves. I would hope you're going to play, right? I mean, my goal is to get people interested enough to play the game, not to just have you watch me play the game. So in a way, I'm enabling it, right? And the person making the video, since it was a self-help video and he was talking about self-help videos, said, in a way, I'm part of the problem because I'm making the videos you're watching instead of you going out and doing the thing yourself. But he said there's nothing wrong with self-help videos, but it shouldn't be the thing you do. And there's nothing wrong with Let's Play videos, but it shouldn't be the thing I do. And I've reflected on this, and I said, there have been days when the bulk, or maybe the entirety of my free time that could have been spent playing a board game or playing a video game was spent watching people play board games or video games. And that, I think, I need to curtail. because I think it's better to do it than to watch somebody else do it. So I'm not telling you guys not to watch me. But what I am saying is you shouldn't be watching me instead of playing a game you enjoy, unless there's some reason why you can't or don't want to play a video game. Right? I'm playing this game now, and I'm not going to watch videos after this. I'm going to go downstairs and play Conflict of Heroes, or maybe I'm going to read. But I don't want so many hours, because that's what he was talking about, is just the number of hours. He said it's all designed to sink you in. Right? You'll watch one video of me playing City of Heroes, and then 5 other Let's Plays of City of Heroes will pop up in your feed. And oh, this one looks interesting, and oh, that one looks interesting. I got sucked into watching somebody play Mass Effect 1 once. She was very entertaining to watch, but why watch her play Mass Effect and do things that were aggravating me because she's not following the dialogue carefully and doesn't realize what's going on? Why watch her do that instead of play it myself? Let's see if we can just get out of here so we can assassinate this guy. So yeah, there is definitely, but his point was that, okay, so I watched her, and then 10 other Mass Effect blind playthrough 10 other Mass Effect blind playthrough video series popped up in my feed because I'd watched one of them, right? And so that's where you have to be careful, because it becomes like an endless time sink. I should have used placate there. It becomes an endless time sink of watching instead of doing. Man, he almost killed me. They just never miss, do they? See, look at this. He has a 16% chance to hit. But he still hit me over and over again. Yep, there's another one. So he missed a couple times in a row, but he also hit a couple times in a row. They just do huge amounts of damage when they hit. So they get one hit on you, and it takes half your HP bar. Brutal. What's kind of disappointing is the Titans are sort of, and I think I mentioned this before, they're basically paper tigers. They look scary, but they don't really do anything to you. I kind of wish the Titans were tougher than the Bravo bosses, because the Bravo bosses are just humans, but these things look like they should be super tough, and they're actually not. This guy's not going to do, he's going to do hardly anything to me, which is a shame, because he looks tough. But he's not. Let's zoom out a little bit so I can see him. Alright, there we go. Yeah, you see how fast he went down? Now I know he's only a lieutenant, the other guy's a boss, but even the bosses aren't, those bosses aren't anywhere near as tough as the gunslinger bosses, who are just, they only have 15% chance to hit me, but for some reason they still seem to hit over and over again. Yeah, so I guess what I would say is word of caution. These things are, YouTube is designed to keep you watching. Right? So if you're not careful, that's what'll happen. You'll keep watching. And I've had it happen to me many evenings where I've, you know, it's after dinner, I sit down, I'll just watch a little YouTube, right? Famous last words. I'll just watch a little YouTube and then start playing Lock and Load Tactical, or then start playing Crusader Kings, or then start playing Europa Universalis or something. And next thing I know, it's 10:45, it's 10:30 at night, 10:15, and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to start the game now. And one of the things I read a long time ago was you shouldn't game too close to bedtime, because gaming will stimulate your brain, and then it makes it harder for you to fall asleep. Now, I don't know how bad that would be for a game like Lock and Load, which is more thought-based, but definitely for an action game like City of Heroes, you don't want to overstimulate your brain when you're trying to go to sleep. So what this person said was you're better off reading or something. What ends up happening is I watch YouTube videos long enough that I look at the clock. I see that it's now close to bedtime. For me, that's supposed to be 11. I try to make it 11. I usually end up getting bed more like 11:15, 11:30. But after 10 o'clock, if I see that it's already after 10 o'clock, I'll say, all right, well, I'll just watch YouTube videos, quote unquote, until I go to bed, right? Which I end up staying up later than I should, watching more things, right? Because I'm following the algorithm to a new video that interests me, right? That's what it's designed to do, keep you watching. And, but I also go, okay, well, now it's already after 10 o'clock, so I'm not going to start a video game. I'll just go to bed early. And then I don't go to bed early. I watch another one and another one and another one. More watching instead of doing things. Right? Maybe the worst one are all these videos made by, like, the booktube, quote unquote, people who read. And it's like you're watching a video about reading instead of reading. Just read. There's absolutely no reason to watch somebody's video about the book they read instead of reading a book yourself. Doesn't have to be the book they read, but now sometimes, there can be other reasons, right? There was a book that I read which is very, like, it came somewhat highly recommended. I do this every once in a while, same thing with movies or games that are really, really bad. These things come highly recommended, and I read it or I play it or whatever, and I can't believe this horrible thing is a thing that people seem to like. So I go online and I Google it, right? Does anybody else also hate this horrible thing that I despised when I read it? Is it really just me? And usually it's not. Usually somebody else also didn't like it. I know there's one writer who has a book series, and there's a character that keeps reoccurring in that book series who I absolutely cannot stand. I hate this character with every fiber of my being, and every time the character shows up in this series, I want to throw the book away. And the character has become more and more prominent as the series has gone on, and it's made me stop reading the series. I can't with this character. I just can't. It's super annoying. It is a juvenile character, and it is, in my opinion, a juvenile idea that the author had. By the author's own admission, I'm not going to say the author's name or what this is, but by the author's own admission, this is an idea they've had since they started writing when they were a kid. And they've always loved this idea. And I'm like, okay, but you're an adult now. Why can't you let go of this childish idea, recognize that it's a kid's idea, and do something more grown up? I'm not saying grown up in the X-rated sense, but just more sophisticated. This thing is juvenile. The character is juvenile. The idea of the character is juvenile. The whole idea of what the character is doing, to me, is juvenile. And if it were a young adult series, I might not care, but it's not a young adult series. It's for grown-ups. And I was like, I can't believe that the author doesn't realize this guy is annoying. And I went online, and I found very few people who agreed with me. It's just me, apparently. Most people love this character and think it's great and want more of him. But I found one guy on YouTube why this character is the most annoying character in this series, and was explaining it. And I'm like, yes, this guy absolutely encapsulated exactly what's wrong with this character. And in fact, it wasn't my thought that this is a character from a young adult series. It was his. He said this character would be good if this was a young adult series. But because this is not a young adult series, what's frustrating about it is you're reading something like Lord of the Rings, and all of a sudden, into the middle of it is injected a character out of Harry Potter, right? So it'd be like having Ron Weasley show up in at random times, right, in different scenes in the Lord of the Rings. So Frodo and Sam are climbing Cirith Ungol in this super serious scene, and then Ron Weasley shows up with his broken wand and vomiting slugs, right? And he said that's why that scene of Ron vomiting slugs is not problematic in the Harry Potter book, because it's within the purview of that series and it fits. But it wouldn't fit for the Tower of Cirith Ungol. And I was like, that's why I don't like this character, right? Now, I think this guy argued the character's not objectively bad. I actually think the character is objectively bad, not in the annoying way that, say, Draco Malfoy is, because I think Draco Malfoy is a very well-written character. But I just find the character annoying. But I think the reason I find him annoying is because he's out of tone for the rest of the series. And that's what this one YouTuber was saying. So sometimes it can be useful to watch a thing like this. But then I find out this YouTuber has other videos talking about other series, talking about other books I've read, and I want to know what his thoughts are on those books, right? This didn't actually happen, but it could. And the next thing I know, I've been sitting here for 3 hours watching this guy talk about books instead of reading books. And so that's, I guess, the danger. And so I do want to... Did you see those guys flying around? I didn't realize sappers could fly. I guess they can. I've had them attack me on the streets. I really think about it, but they do have the backpack, the jump packs. And we're gonna go back into hide and find that sapper, because we don't want him attacking me and taking my endurance. So anyway, my recommendation to you is don't let watching YouTube prevent you from doing things, right? Where is the sapper? Oh, there he is. Wait a minute. There he is. You gotta be kidding me. This guy has gone pretty far afield. But you're gonna be assassinated out of nowhere. Oh, there's another one. They tricked me. You can never hit them either. It's like they have rickety drone defense. Even though it's 95% to hit, I can't hit them. At least he didn't get me. So that sapper did a really good job. He came in here, got me to KOS him, and I didn't see there was another sapper in the room. So I'd say, guys, I mean, yes, do what you want, but I sure hope people aren't just watching me play and not playing COH, because that I don't want. I want people to play COH. It's a great game. You should play it. Best MMO ever made. I stand by that. And one of the best video... I won't say it's the best video game ever made. It's not. But it's one of the best and one of my favorite of all time. And I've certainly put more hours into this game than any other video game in the world. Ever. By now. I wish there was a way to see how many hours my account has been on this server and Rebirth and add them up. But even that wouldn't tell the whole story, because... where is this glowy I keep hearing? Even that wouldn't tell the whole story, because I played a lot in live. I don't know how many hours I have sunk into these characters. It's been a lot. And I've loved every minute of it. You guys are on a really weird patrol route. That is a strange patrol route. Like sort of zigzagging all over the place in a non-linear fashion. I mean, you know, the same thing with tabletop games. I wonder how many people there are who watch shows like Critical Role instead of playing D&D themselves. Now, with D&D, to play it in person, or if not in person, online with other people, you need other people, right? So I can totally understand how, if you don't have a D&D group, and this is something Matt Colville talked about, right? Why did Critical Role become popular? And I mentioned this in a couple of other videos in the past. his hypothesis, and I think he's completely correct. Why did it become popular to watch essentially a TV show of people sitting around playing D&D? Now, yes, they have pretty good production quality now, and they do it for entertainment now, but when it started, sound quality wasn't great, the production quality wasn't great. They were basically in, I think, like a game cafe or something like that, and they were all just sitting there, and they only had a couple of mics. They didn't need boom mics or whatever they have now. And it was much more a bunch of people who happened to have some acting credentials sitting around as friends playing D&D than it became. It wasn't as much of a show, and it became popular then, before the production quality, before it was more of a show, right? Why was it popular for people to watch other people sitting around playing Dungeons and Dragons? And then there were other shows that are also popular like this as well. Why is that popular, right? And Colville's hypothesis of why millions of people like watching people sit around playing D&D is because most people, he argued, the overwhelming majority, he argues probably by a factor of 10, right? The overwhelming majority of people who want to play D&D can't. And many of them never have. He said he's aware, one of the reasons he plays D&D he likes playing D&D with people who've never played before and teaching people to play D&D is because he said you would be surprised at how many people there are out there. Or maybe my audience wouldn't be because we've talked about it. At how many people there are out there who, some of them since the 70s and 80s, have loved the idea of D&D. They've wanted to play D&D. They bought all the books. Oh, darn it. I meant to hit the assassination. Well, it's fine. You can see how much damage Midnight Grasp does there on a crit. That's pretty awesome. They want to play D&D. They have all the books. They bought all the modules. They've got everything. And they've never been able to get anybody that they personally know to agree to try it. No one will try it. So they've spent their whole lives wanting to play D&D, imagining what it must be like to play D&D, imagining what it must be like to find traps, find a secret door, talk to your party members, negotiate with a dragon, right? Fight goblins. There's all this cool stuff. Get attacked by mimics. There's all this cool, awesome sounding stuff that happens in D&D. Gelatinous cube was one of the things that I first learned about. I've told that story. That got me interested and excited. This idea of this transparent cube that rolls down the hall and traps you. Do I hear it, Chloe? I was disappointed that there weren't game pieces that represented them because back then I didn't know anything about miniatures and stuff. And the guy who was explaining it to me said it all happens in your imagination. But once I learned how to do this stuff, it happening in my imagination was no big deal. And I always wanted to fight gelatinous cubes. I always wanted to fight a mimic, right? Once I knew about the existence of these things, I thought it was cool and I wanted to try it, right? So, but I was lucky. My best friend and I both wanted to play it, and so we played it together, and it was just us. We didn't have a whole group, but we made it work because we wanted to play it, and I had at least one other person to play it with. But he said the overwhelming majority of people who want to play tabletop role-playing games haven't been able to. Some of them for decades. And now this TV show, YouTube show comes on, in which they can actually see what it's like for a GM to call for a roll at the table. They can actually see what it's like when a GM has to make a ruling. Oh, that's how you do it, right? Which, before that, all they could do was picture it, because they'd never had anybody to do it with, right? And so, we're missing a hostage. That's so annoying. The reason we're getting him first is because these are the guys that drop turrets. I don't think the other guys do. So he said that's what made it popular, he thinks, to begin with, is that people were watching other people play D&D because they didn't have the ability to play it themselves. Because you can't do it by yourself. I mean, you can solo it, but it's not the same thing, and you can't really do it that way by yourself. And so people watch other people doing it to get as much of the experience or see the experience if they can, right? Oh, I didn't mean to hit that. That was a mistake. So, if you're doing it for that reason, I can see it. But for something like City of Heroes, which you can play alone, I really hope people will play it and not just watch me. By the way, same problem with board games, right? Board games or any kind of board game. Most board games are made for 2 to X players, right? 2 to 6, 2 to 5, 2 to 4, what have you. And most of them aren't made to be soloed, but I was never, I had the experience most people have at D&D, I had with NATO and Second Fleet and these Avalon Hill games, Air Force. I couldn't get anybody to play them with me. So I had to just play them alone and have a soloing experience with it and try to figure out the solo rules for it. And I'm still in that position. I don't really have anybody around here that I know of who would have any interest in playing a war game. And my D&D friends, they're not interested. Like my best friend I know doesn't have any interest in them. He never has. And the other players are too busy with their kids and stuff. They don't have time. And so, yeah, even if I were to ask one of them, would you guys want to like set up Foundry with it or something like that, and try to see if we can play some of these games together. I don't think that I don't think any of them would. I don't have anyone to play these games with, so I kind of have to do it by myself. So now, what did I just do? Somebody made this suggestion. If you played with villain names on, it would be easier to see the villains when they have hostages. So that's what we're going to try, because you can see the villain names from pretty far away. I'm also going to turn off hide because we want to, even though there's sappers around, we want to try and aggro them as well, because I don't know where this last hostage is. I don't think they're down this hallway, because I finished it, right? Let's do this thing. Yeah, there's nowhere I haven't been to, I don't think. So yeah, I mean, it's fine to watch people play, and but I hope people aren't making that their default, which too many days of the week I have done. And I made a New Year's resolution to try and stop this, and then I got interested in the board war games, and I started it again with the board war games. So I've got to go back to, why watch somebody play? Yes, they can explain the rules. I know how to read rules. Yes, I get things wrong. And then I reread the rules and go, oh, I wasn't supposed to do it that way. Oh, well. Right? So like I was playing Conflict of Heroes, and it says be careful stacking units in a hex, because then the enemy can hit both targets. And so I was thinking it was like lock and load. And lock and load, if you have 3 guys in a hex, and an enemy unit shoots into that hex and rolls a hit, basically you roll to hit everyone in the hex. It's almost like rolling to hit the hex in Champions. And now you can make a damage check against every unit in that hex. But it's a single attack roll. So the first time I did it, I made a single attack roll hit, and I made a single damage roll, and it was a hit with a raise, which means you didn't just damage the unit, you destroyed it. And I took both units off the board. They were Russians, and the Germans won that mission. Now, I took both units off the board, and then when the Russians were attacking the 2 German units I had stacked, I was like, wait a minute, did they really get one roll to hit and to do damage to both? So I said, don't I make? So I made two different damage rolls. I went and looked, and the example they used, yeah, you have to have two different damage rolls. And I don't see this guy, so we're gonna have to autocomplete the mission. And so the I said, okay, I made two separate damage rolls against the German units, and then I said, all right, well, I put one of the Russian units back. It was already around later, and it wasn't, it didn't. By then, the Russians had kind of lost because those units, partly because those units were gone. I couldn't rewind it all the way back because I didn't remember all the moves. So I just said, well, I'll give them this unit back, but the damage was kind of already done. And yeah, I don't want the names anymore, so we're gonna switch this back off to show when mouse over or selected, right? So when mouse over or selected, and you guys are gonna stop. You guys are gonna stop mugging this person. I mean, I'm not normally gonna do this, but if I see you mugging somebody right in front of me, it's gonna stop. I'm a superhero. Okay, time to complete the current mission. And then call our contact. We're at 56 minutes, so we're going to go talk to Crimson, and then we will stop. So let's go to Peregrine Island. This one, not sure how worth it is to do this teleport, because it gets you on the other side of the island. And now I have to super jump over to him. The other option would have been to take this train to Talos Island and super jump over to the ferry, which is right next to Crimson. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, kind of. I don't know. Which one's better? So yeah, but going back to like things like wargaming, tabletop gaming, when it's multiple players, you can't necessarily play it with other people because you can't force other people to do it. But so like what I was saying is I made this mistake on the rules. Okay, so what I read was no, you make a separate attack roll and damage roll. Okay. All right, well, that's fine. Now I got it wrong once, I'll get it right the next time. Right? And so I've made one mistake I've made is it's usually 1 or 2 action points to move and then 3 or 4 to attack. And a number of times I've gotten so used to moving a unit and rolling to see if they get a 1 or less, on D10 for their action point use to see whether they're exhausted or not. Spent, they call it. I've spent so much time. I'll 7 or 8 moves in a row. They're just rolling to beat a 1, and they generally do. And then I have them shoot, and I know that they should have a 4 instead of a 1, but I think a few times I have accidentally, my brain is just used to looking for a 1 and done that again. And so there are probably times when they were supposed to be spent and I didn't do it for both sides. Yeah, I've made mistakes, but the thing is that I can read the rules, I can figure it out, and after playing enough, I will erase the mistakes and figure out how to play. And I don't think it's necessary to watch videos about how to play Panzer North Africa or Advanced Squad Leader. I can read the rules and figure it out myself. Right? And if I play it wrong a little bit, I'm just playing by myself. Who cares? Right? But it's better to play it than to watch somebody play it. And that's what I need to remind myself. All right, so why am I here? I just want to explain this and mention it. We are working on day jobs. And so I still need 35 hours logged out at the university to get the day job badge. I'll eventually get them all, but I'm working on this one. So I keep stopping now. I've been stopping the last couple days in the university. That's why we're up to 65 hours, and we got 35 hours to go. So if you want to get those badges, you just got to watch it where you're supposed to log out, and then just spend enough time logged out in those locations. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I hope you're playing City of Heroes if you can. If your computer can handle it, if you can handle it. I'm hoping you're playing City of Heroes if you can, and not just watching. But please keep watching if you're enjoying the videos. And let me know in the comments if you have also had this happen to you, where you start watching one YouTube video about something and you're supposed to be doing the thing yourself, but then you just keep watching videos. I'm sure it has happened to people, because that's what YouTube is designed to do. Watch out for that. Don't let it do that to you. Only do that if you want to. Don't do it because YouTube wants you to. Until next time, I am Scrapperlock, and this is City of Heroes, soloing the Stalker.